So a few months ago, I made a video about paranormal YouTubers Sam and Colby and their controversial YouTube series on the Conjuring House.
True.
In Sam and Colby's series, they met with notorious paranormal couple Cody and Satori. The Conjuring House series received mixed reviews from fans, mostly due to Kotori's methods that they claimed could directly contact the dead. But now, Kotori are back in another YouTube series on the Conjuring House. And I have some thoughts. Hi, I'm a YouTuber making a video about other YouTubers' videos. Now, before we get into this, I just want to clear something up real fast. I don't want to become that guy that's always talking about the Conjuring House. This is only my second video on it, but I'm hoping it's my last. Now, I know people in the paranormal community are sick and tired of hearing about paranormal couple Cody and Satori. Trust me, so am I. And I debated with myself whether or not I even wanted to make this video. Because I did a pretty comprehensive job debunking them in the previous one. So I'm trying to take a different angle with this one. This isn't a debunk on Kotori, who've already been extensively debunked. What I'm more interested in is the role that paranormal investigators have in enabling ignorance. How much responsibility should we give them for vetting the information that they're dispersing? And how much leeway should we give them for the claim that they're simply letting the audience decide? Answers to these questions and more after this ad read. Just kidding, we're starting the video. First, let's set the scene. It's been a few months since the Sam and Colby Conjuring House series, and I think most people thought that we'd seen the end of their collaborators, Cody and Satori, especially when Sam and Colby said they weren't going to work with them anymore.
We think the best course of action is to continue our investigations using our own equipment and our own methods so that there's no question whether we believe it or not.
It seemed like that was that. But a few weeks ago, a funny little update happened. This tweet was posted at the end of January by paranormal YouTuber Dakota Layden from the team Project Fear. Our videos at the Conjuring House will be the most controversial videos we've ever released. This'll shake things up a bit. The replies instantly clocked that Project Fear's Conjuring House videos were going to feature Cody and Satori, and the fans were understandably concerned. If you haven't seen my video on it, I'll give you a really quick summary on Kotori's unusual method for contacting the dead. Kotori are caretakers at the Conjuring House, and they do a special little magic show for some lucky visitors. They hold each other's wrists to create a beacon that attracts nearby spirits. Once contact with the spirits is initiated, Satori starts reciting the alphabet, and the contacting spirit makes a knocking sound in order to spell out words one letter at a time.
A, B, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I.
It's Abigail.
Abigail Arnold. It's great to talk to you tonight.
Oh my God.
The spirits are often revealed to be deceased relatives of the people who are visiting. So for example, in Sam and Colby's video series, Sam's late grandmother made contact with him.
Libby Golok.
Your grandma?
It's my grandma.
However, there's good reason to believe that this deception was done by Googling the visitors' full legal names, which they're required to give in order to stay at the Conjuring House, and from that finding the obituaries of their deceased relatives, which give them the names of not only the deceased, but also the names of pretty much the entire family. As for the knocking sounds, they're all but confirmed to be coming from Cody popping his joints in time with Satori's alphabet recitation. There's videos out there that analyze this pretty thoroughly. I definitely recommend Mythos Paranormal's video where he slows down the footage to show Cody shifting his weight in time with the knocks. Not just once or twice, but several times. It doesn't leave much room for other possibilities. I mean, just look at this. So yeah, they're deceiving people by pretending to be in contact with their deceased loved ones. Pretty disgusting. Now, so many people spoke up about all the red flags that they were seeing with Kotori and all the suspicious things that happened while they were on screen that Sam and Colby came out with a video in direct response.
The main thing we want to talk about is Cody and Satori.
My point with all this context is that this controversy was very high profile in the paranormal community. So why did this other paranormal YouTube team, Project Fear, decide to do a stride-by-stride retread of the same material? Let's see what team lead Dakota has to say.
So we began filming filming 3 weeks before our good friends Sam and Colby released their series at the Conjuring House. There has been much skepticism and controversy regarding Cody and Satori's abilities. Because we filmed our videos before the release of Sam and Colby's, we weren't exposed to any of that public skepticism. We had no reason to be skeptical, we had no reason to doubt. We just went in with extremely open minds, and that's what we did.
All right, let me stop you right there. There was no need to be skeptical. There was no need to doubt. Don't make me tap the sign. I'll get more into that comment by Dakota later, but for now, just know that I was disturbed by it. But I digress. What Dakota said next is what really intrigued me.
We did meet back up with Cody and Satori, and we had a long sit-down conversation with them where we were able to ask them all of the hard questions and press them on all of the public's theories and everything.
You're gonna ask Kotori all the hard questions? You're gonna press them? I hope you're as excited as I am for the hard-hitting journalism of this upcoming trap interview. But before that, you'd probably like to know a bit more about the fine people who'll be interviewing them. So let me give you a little bit of background info on Project Fear. Project Fear is a paranormal team that consists of 4 members. There's Dakota Layden, who, according to IMDb, got his start as a camera operator on Ghost Adventures. There's also his sister, Chelsea Layden, along with these two, Tanner Wiseman and Alex Schroeder. Together, they had a TV show called Destination Fear that aired on the Travel Channel. Unfortunately, it was canceled last year, so they started the Project Fear YouTube channel. They ended up raising over $380,000 on Kickstarter to fund their haunted house tour road trip. And their first stop was handpicked by Dakota.
I picked the first location on this trip, and I took us to the Conjuring House.
The first episode begins with Project Fear introducing the history of the Conjuring House, talking about the Perron family, Ed and Lorraine Warren, all that boilerplate stuff. But then Dakota reveals what he's most excited about in the Conjuring House.
But another reason we're going to the Conjuring House is because of what Sam and Colby did experience there. They came home from the Conjuring House, called everyone over to their house to watch the footage. We'll be following up with what Sam and Colby experienced there because it was so next level.
From this point on, Project Fear almost exclusively talk about Kotori.
I don't think I've stopped thinking about that ever since they showed us that footage.
On the car ride over,
They don't just communicate with the spirits of the location, communicating with spirits from people's lives.
as soon as they get out of the car,
Cody and Satori.
and for the rest of the night.
If it gets crazy, I'm probably gonna call you in just to see it for your own eyes.
I literally need to.
You have no idea. I literally have nothing else. No, but seriously, if you don't let me see it, who knows what I might do. They start off by going to the basement where they stand around and stare at some dripping water. Fascinating.
Definitely want to come back down here later.
It's pretty obvious that the main event is witnessing Kotori's method firsthand, so let's get into it. The first spirit to make contact is Dakota's grandfather,
Tom Bogan, is that what that just said? That's my grandpa who passed away about a year ago.
who says that his memory is back.
Your memory's back?
Oh my god, dude.
My grandpa passed away like 2 years ago, and he had Alzheimer's, and he didn't have his memory for the last year or 2 of his life. So happy that you have your memory back.
You know, I think I've made it pretty clear what I think of Kotori's little magic trick, and not only do I think it's exceptionally cruel of them to impersonate the spirits of deceased loved ones, but to dangle this image in front of Dakota of his grandfather with his memory restored, that's low even for them. Dakota decides to ask his grandfather a very important question.
Tommy, can you tell me something, a story, or something that you can say that just maybe will help me really know that this is you?
And Cody decides to have Tommy quickly change the subject.
You're asking where Polly is?
Now, it's important to remember in these clips that Cody is the one deciding how the spirits will respond. That's why Satori always looks him in the eye when she's unsure of what the spirits are saying.
This Rob?
Is there a spirit named Rob?
And Cody always steps in with what just so happens to be a clarifying answer.
E-A-A-B-C-D-E-F.
Leaves.
Seriously, if you watch them do this enough, this happens every single time. Cody's never wrong.
A, B, C, D, E.
I think it's A. Nope. B.
Glob.
I wonder if there's a reason for that. The Project Fear team take a mental health break after this, which leaves us alone with Kotori, who put on the performance of a lifetime in front of the idle cameras.
But I feel like we're traumatizing people. Like, I don't want to, like, upset anybody.
Makes me feel bad.
They end up bringing Connor inside for a reading, and Satori asks Dakota an interesting question.
You want me to get you tissues or something?
Oh, y'all got tissues now. You know, I seem to remember Sam and Colby being offered toilet paper when they were there.
I hate to tell you, but we only have access to toilet paper.
Oh, man.
Is that okay?
That's okay, I'll just use my shirt.
I'm surprised you didn't make them fight to the death over a single square.
I don't have a square to spare. I can't spare a square.
Ugh, it was probably single ply too. Wouldn't put it past them. Alright, anyway. I already showed a little clip from this earlier, but Kotori ended up making a major mistake here. They say there's a spirit named Rob that comes through, which Project Fear becomes very confused by.
Who could that be?
Cody clearly realizes that they made a mistake because he starts covering his face with his hands, like he does anytime he's trying to figure out how to get out of something.
Can they take off shoes? Is that okay?
Oh, Kotori. How are you gonna get out of this one?
Maybe we can get more clarification on who Rob is.
As it turns out, Rob is the legal name of Dakota and Chelsea's Grandpa Bucky.
So my parents sent the message back, and that Grandpa Bucky, his name was Robert.
What?
Me and Chelsea didn't even know that his name was Robert. We just always called him Bucky.
See, this is the risk you take when you Google obituaries. Sometimes you get lucky and it has the person's nickname written in the obituary. And other times, the obituary doesn't have the person's nickname on it and you end up calling Grandpa Bucky Rob, which no one in real life called him. How embarrassing.
Well, I promise I have not stalked any of you guys.
What's funny is, right after Cody says he's gonna get clarification on who Rob is, they just move on like nothing happened.
Tanner, is there somebody for him?
Listen, okay, we're really hoping that everybody just forgets about the whole Rob incident, okay? Sometimes the ghosts just forget their names. It's not the first time this has happened.
Fosse?
Terry Fosse. Fika.
To end the episode, we get one more juicy mistake from Kotori, and this one is pretty egregious. For their grand finale, they try to show off a little bit by making the knocking sounds appear to come from upstairs to downstairs.
Can you come down here? Can you come to this floor?
Yeah. Hi.
Wow, really cool, guys. So cool, in fact, that Dakota wants to test it.
If one of us went upstairs and like laid in the bed, could you tell these spirits to go walk up there?
We can try.
And would the knocking be apparent to that person up there and not down here?
I've never tried it before.
And of course, when Dakota goes upstairs, the knocking noises don't follow him up there because they're noises that are being made by Cody, who is downstairs. And obviously Kotori realized this, so they start preparing an explanation.
I don't know how far our energy vicinity goes.
Energy vicinity? Interesting that now there's an energy vicinity. And we're not sure if it reaches all the way upstairs or not. They start really doubling down on this vicinity concept, despite never mentioning it before. Suddenly, they can't stop talking about it.
Do they have a hard time when they're like a certain distance from us? I don't know how far our energy vicinity goes. I don't know how the vicinity works of what we do.
Now, the real smoking gun of this whole thing for me is that just a few minutes before all this happened.
I'm gonna name floors, and wherever you are, you knock, okay? Upstairs? Can you come down here?
I just can't get over this contradiction. I mean, this is about as red-handed as you can catch them. For anyone who watched my first video and were like, I don't know, there's no hard proof that they were faking it, and trust me, there were a lot of people that said something to that effect. I mean, this is about as clear-cut as I can make it. So at first, Kotori are naming floors that the spirit could be on, and not only does the spirit hear them from a different floor, it responds with a knock from a different floor.
This floor, basement, upstairs.
No one questions the interfloor energy vicinity here. But then when Dakota goes upstairs, suddenly They're not sure about the energy vicinity.
I don't know how far our energy vicinity goes.
They're not sure that it's able to extend to another floor, even though it literally just did.
Upstairs?
So, what happens?
Is there anybody in here with me?
Are there knocks upstairs? Well, of course, nothing happens. No knocks are heard at all. In fact, the spirit seems to just disappear, conveniently. Dakota's a good sport about it. A bit too good of a sport, if you ask me.
It was worth a shot. I just wanted to see if something would maybe follow me up here. These spirits are really stuck with Cody and Satori.
And they just sort of move on after that.
But for whatever reason, they couldn't make a tap happen near you.
Jeez.
So what you guys want to do?
So, can we stop talking about this now? Otherwise, I think our cover's about to be blown. That's pretty much it for episode 1, although Satori made an interesting comment while Dakota was upstairs.
Can you try to maybe touch him on the shoulder?
In Sam and Colby's series, there's a part where Josh's shirt appears to move on its own.
Whoa, what was that? Someone just touched my arm.
In my video on the series, I talked about how the house was pretty drafty and that I thought air circulation was responsible. I think this touch him on the shoulder comment from Satori was a Hail Mary from her that maybe the house's draft will come to their rescue here and brush by Dakota upstairs, who's freaked out and ripe for a scare, by the way.
Can you grab my hand?
Unfortunately for Kotori, no such luck. No shirt brushing draft this time. But I'm not gonna lie, I was feeling pretty validated about this being an extremely drafty house that Kotori are trying to use to their advantage here. Alright, first episode done. How we feeling? Tired? Yup. I'm tired of this too. You know, in retrospect, I keep coming back to Dakota's comment that he made at the beginning of this whole thing.
We had no reason to be skeptical. We had no reason to doubt.
They had no reason to doubt. They had no reason to be skeptical when Grandpa Bucky called himself Rob.
Like, me and Chelsea didn't even know that his name was Robert. We just always called him Bucky.
They had no reason to be skeptical when Grandpa Tom didn't answer Dakota's question about something only he would know.
You're asking where Polly is?
They had no reason to be skeptical when the knocking noises didn't follow Dakota upstairs.
I don't know how far our energy vicinity goes.
Now, I'm not saying that if I was in the room, I would have stopped the madness. You know, I would have stood up, pointed my finger at them and said, "You're a liar," and stormed out of the room. In fact, I can pretty much guarantee that I wouldn't do something like that. But to say that there was no reason to be skeptical. If Dakota wasn't skeptical of Kotori, why would he try to test them?
I'm gonna try it.
You want to?
I just want to see, like, if the knocking can follow me upstairs, because then it's like, I don't know how to explain that.
They even verbally acknowledge that they're skeptical several times.
Skeptic in me.
My skeptical brain.
That's the skeptic side of me.
Do you guys hear that? Who's there? Are you a ghost? What do you want? Oh, okay, I know what this is. A, B, C, D, E, F, F. A, B, C, C. Factor? You want Factor? Well, you're in luck because this video is sponsored by Factor. Factor is a meal delivery service that makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by shipping pre-prepared meals straight to your door, ready to eat in 2 minutes. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code WOLF50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and free wellness shots for life. 2 free wellness shots from 3 available flavors for every order while you're an active subscriber. So my wife and I recently started feeding our baby solid foods, and that means that we've started meal planning for a 3rd person in our home. And if you've been there before, you know that meal planning for a baby sometimes means that you don't get to meal plan for yourself. Factor has helped us stress less over mealtime. It's really helpful on days when we're exceptionally busy to just be like, well, I'll have a Factor meal for lunch. That's 1 meal taken care of. In the past, we may have turned to delivery or takeout in that same scenario, but Factor is both cheaper and better tasting. So I take out my spork with pride. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code WOLF50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and free wellness shots for life. 2 free wellness shots from 3 available flavors for every order while you are an active subscriber. Big thanks to Factor for sponsoring this video, and now let's go back to whatever we were talking about. I'm not really sure where I'm putting this in the video yet. It'd be great if I had a better segue. Well, we've got 2 more episodes to get through, although I'm gonna spend a lot less time on this next one. Honestly, there's not much in episode 2 I want to talk about. I think this episode is kind of boring, to be honest.
So I don't like this part in the slightest.
Kotori do their little magic trick in the basement this time, and I think Cody's strategy here was that since Project Fear got a little too close to the truth upstairs, he wanted to freak them out a little by puppeteering a hostile spirit.
Woods.
Woods? Come to the woods?
Oh my god.
The spirit decides to insist on something kind of weird, that the girls and guys be separated and that the girls come out to the woods by themselves.
Oh, it wants both the girls.
Oh, I love Cody's delayed reaction here. It's like he realized at the last minute that he should be acting surprised by the answer he made the spirit give. Now, the reason Cody wants to separate the girls and the guys and make them go out to the woods is both to try to freak out the members of Project Fear and to avoid having to do their little magic trick, since Dakota was so interested in testing it. And they can't do it if Cody and Satori are separated.
What's interesting about this, Cody, is the spirits know that, like, they can't communicate right now without you.
I know.
So, like, what is it gonna do?
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, yeah, you're right, Dakota. Hey, what's going on here, guys?
We're all trying to find the guy who did this and give him a spanking.
By this point, Dakota has pointed out so many things that I'm just like, dude, you're right there. You're so close. You just need to take one more step, man, and you're there. Unfortunately for Cody, he gets roped into doing the trick again.
A, B, C, D.
It takes a while, but they finally get back inside the house for a final reading at around 3 a.m. Alex finally gets a visitor, but the spirit refuses to say who they are.
I don't know who we're talking to, though. I'm really curious to know who this is.
Cody does a not so subtle job in this scene of being like, why don't you tell me who you think it is, Alex?
So it sounds like this person was alive for your mom.
Yeah.
But wasn't alive for Sherry.
Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie you selected?
I'm guessing because Kotori didn't have a name ready, so they tried to trick Alex into just saying one. Alex, however, decides not to give a name.
The skeptic in me doesn't even want to say the name until I get it.
But again, Project Fear had no reason to be skeptical, right?
Now I know this whole thing's crap.
Dakota asks them if there's one last message for anyone there.
Is there anyone else that's here who wants to give one last message?
And his grandpa Tom answers.
Tom?
Tom tells Dakota to have a cigar for me.
He said, have a cigar for me.
Whoa. I will. Damn. Tommy introduced me to cigars, and every time I golf, every time I'm on the road, every time I need to relax, I smoke a cigar, and I always think about you.
Oh, isn't that nice? Well, another job well done for Cody and Satori.
What kind of cigar should I have, Tommy?
Uh-oh, Cody's got to name a cigar brand. How much does Cody know about cigars?
I don't know what that is. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Dakota doesn't give up, though, and presses the subject.
What's the brand? What type of cigar should I smoke?
Cody gives the nothing burger answer in Lakeville, which doesn't end up impressing.
Well, you're gonna have to find them tonight.
Oh man, Kotori dropped the ball so hard here, and Dakota caught them again. You can just tell from the way he instantly asks what brand. Like, oh, so you Googled Dakota Layden Grandpa, and the very first result is a photo of the two of them smoking cigars, did you? Well then, prove it. Name a brand. Any brand. And since Cody didn't think to research cigars, he has nothing.
I don't know what that is.
And this is like the third or fourth time that Project Fear have caught Kotori red-handed with this stuff. And it's starting to get to the point of frustration with me. Like, I would have rather seen Project Fear out there just eating it up, just taking everything at face value and not questioning anything. But the fact that they're so clearly skeptical of what's taking place. I mean, they're constantly testing Kotori. They're like, oh yeah? Oh, you like cigars? Name a brand. Go ahead. Any brand of cigar. Oh, you can't do it? Oh, you're my grandpa, are you? Well, can you tell me your name, Grandpa? Oh, you can't tell me your name? That's kind of fishy, isn't it? And Kotori are blatantly failing each and every one of these tests. But you fast forward a few months, and the way that Dakota decides to contextualize all this footage is by saying,
we had no reason to be skeptical. We had no reason to doubt.
To sit there and suggest that there's no reason.
The story doesn't add up for me over these first 2 episodes. But maybe we'll get some answers in the 3rd and final episode, which is the hard-hitting interview with Kotori that we were promised.
We were able to ask them all of the hard questions and press them on all of the public's theories and everything.
Did you hear that? They're gonna get pressed. This is the moment we've been waiting for. It's time to play hardball.
Sam and Colby's videos come out, and obviously with that, you have people that are gonna hate, and they're hating, and they're hating. So like, what does your dad think about, what does he tell you, or what's his advice when you do get these haters or these skeptical people like trying to debunk you? Obviously with what happened with you guys, you're gonna have people who are just trying to debunk it, trying to debunk it.
Yes.
So I think at some point we'll get to some of the heavy hitting questions, some of the conspiracies out there.
Conspiracies? Conspiracies? Okay, so let me get this straight. The people who claim they can instantly, directly talk to spirits. That's not a conspiracy. That's ability.
The skeptics are saying about your abilities. Cody and Satori claim to have a very unique ability.
But the people saying, no, those aren't spirits talking, that's Cody cracking his ankle, those are conspiracies?
I guess we'll get right into some of the online questions / conspiracies. So
I see. So I think it's pretty clear what the tone of this interview is, right? Somehow I doubt we're gonna get the hard-hitting questions that we were looking forward to.
Someone did a little Reddit post.
Yeah, some little feckless Reddit gremlin made their little post where they were like hating on you guys, and they were just like trying desperately to debunk you, like desperately they were trying to debunk you guys. And honestly, it was pretty pathetic. We were all disgusted by it. The way Dakota in particular talks about online debunkers and skeptics, it's like he's describing Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Just some little pitiful cave-dwelling creature that's just a ball of hate. They're just holding on desperately to their precious little worldview. Well, that's a shame. But don't worry. Even though Project Fear went out of their way to try to make them look good in this interview, Kotori ended up fumbling massively.
Cody and Satori, like, take us through the day that you realized that you had this capability, this ability.
Definitely didn't have the kind of communication we had until we first met, August of 2018.
And the alphabet kind of evolved over time.
Can I take credit for the alphabet thing?
Yeah.
Because I think it was me. I was like, hey, can we spell out things? And that's how we got the how is this happening, how is this possible?
Interesting. Very interesting. That's right. I'm back with the sweater. That's when you know you're about to get sassed, because I've got the receipts. Now, I know that like 25 minutes ago I said this wasn't a debunk, and I've been trying to keep the focus on Project Fear and how they're choosing to handle the situation, but it's just really fun to point out all of Kotori's mistakes. So we'll do a little more of that, but then we're gonna sit down and have a serious talk about all this nonsense. Get ready for video essay time. The moral of the story is coming up. Anyway, so we just started the interview, and already Kotori messed up. They say that they first realized they had this ability after they met in 2018, and the alphabet method evolved over time, and Satori even takes credit for developing the alphabet method. The funny thing about that, here's a footage of Cody by himself doing the alphabet method all the way back in 2012.
So I'm gonna ask you, try figuring out your name here. I'm gonna go through the alphabet, and when I get to the first letter of your name, I want you to give me a knock. A. B.
First letter is B.
So, how could Satori have developed the alphabet method if Cody was doing it by himself 6 years before they met? You know, maybe he just forgot. Like the ghosts often do. You know, first you forget your name, then you forget your favorite cigar brand. Next thing you know, you forget that you came up with the alphabet method over a decade ago. We've all been there. What's particularly frustrating about this is that Project Fear brings up this clip later in the interview of Cody doing the alphabet method, but they don't connect it to this earlier statement, so Kotori just laugh it off.
Cody's been doing this well before he met Satori.
Mastermind.
Yeah.
And maybe that was just an unknown start to what's become.
I think the thing that's throwing people up is the ABC thing, because they're like, what? I thought he said he never did that, and like whatever, but I don't know.
I don't know. Dakota, I know that you know. You know that you know too. So eventually they start talking about all the pathetic haters out there who are, in Dakota's words, trying to debunk them. And Kotori's initial response kind of shocked me, to be honest.
Some of it's been quite comical, to be honest.
It's been kind of funny.
We've gotten a laugh out of some of it. Just some of the theories that people are coming up with, like we're aliens and...
Yeah, we were joint popping, and I'm like, Cody had cancer. If he popped a joint, it wasn't going back. Like, you know, like things like that.
All right, bring it in. Let's get serious for a moment. So if you didn't know, Cody had leukemia back in 2011, and it went into remission after a bone marrow transplant. Now, I tried Googling this claim that Satori just made, and I couldn't find anything that supported the idea that former leukemia patients couldn't pop their joints. I'm not going to stand here and say that that was a lie, but I do want to flag it as suspicious, pending further review. If you happen to know more info about leukemia and how it affects joints, please feel free to let me know in the comments. I'd love to be illuminated. I know that sounded sarcastic, but I'm being sincere. I have to point out though, did you notice the example that Cody leads with when he's talking about online debunker theories?
Some of the theories that people are coming up with, like we're aliens.
Aliens. Okay, I see what's going on here. So you're trying to discredit online debunkers by making it sound like their leading theory is accusing you two of being extraterrestrials. Right. I see. You know, it's funny. I've watched a lot of Kotori content in preparation for the 2 videos that I've made about them, and I haven't come across a single person putting forward this alien theory.
I honestly thought we were just making that up.
Next, Project Fear presses Kotori about how they can disprove the joint popping theory.
How do we go, like, let's cross it off the list, show everybody, like, it's not them, like, doing something.
And Satori's response to this is unbelievable.
If we were to give no way for people to have any sort of skepticism, and they're not meant to believe in this yet, or they're not meant to have these experiences, or they won't take it well, what would happen tomorrow if we proved it for certain? You know, like, would that like create chaos?
So their rationale for not wanting to disprove perfectly valid explanations like joint popping is because we as a society, we wouldn't be able to handle it.
It screws up their cookie cutter world.
We've witnessed the horrors of history, war, slavery, genocide, but it would all pale in comparison to seeing Ankle Boy and Alphabet Girl over here talk to dead people without their shoes on. That's what would really push people over the edge. Now, to answer your rhetorical question/excuse, Satori, yes, it would create chaos if you scientifically proved for certain that you and Cody can reliably communicate with real dead people. It would, but it would be scientific chaos. It wouldn't be Molotov cocktails being hurled in the streets kind of chaos. It would be like baffled scientists dropping their beakers to the ground kind of chaos, okay? People aren't going to descend into eldritch madness over some knocking noises, all right? So come off it. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time I've heard this rhetoric about Kotori's abilities. In a recent episode of the Iced Coffee Hour podcast, Sam and Colby made almost exactly the same argument.
It could also cause major conflict if you think about it. Let's say like Cody and Satori were like, Christianity is the answer. You know, that's like everybody would like, that would start a world war if they were right.
And like
you know?
scientists back this up and they say, we've
confirmed proof from the paranormal.
World
This
War
is the
III,
way it is.
instantly.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, kind of disappointed to hear them echo the exact same argument that Kotori just gave, but I'm not even gonna argue against it this time. Cody, do me a favor. You take this one. Prove Colby wrong.
I don't think people would. I mean, there's some individuals out there that no matter what you show them, they're still not going to.
I could have a spirit sit
We
right
could do
here
this for
next to me,
days.
and
We
it
have.
would-
We have. We've done it. We've been there and done it. And you know, we've definitely learned that there's some people that you just can't change their mind.
Sorry, Colby, but Cody said it himself. People simply won't believe it. Even though they just got done saying that there would be chaos if it was proved for certain, now apparently the story is, well, you can never prove it for certain. I could have a ghost come sit right next to me, and they still wouldn't believe it. So never fear, Colby. The World War III, the societal collapse, simply wouldn't happen. False alarm. There's so many intellectually dishonest moments like this that happen in this interview that I frankly don't have time to cover them all. So I'll just move on to this last one. The biggest moment of the interview. Dakota asked Kotori if they'd be willing to do their method with their shoes off. The moment of truth we've all been waiting for.
So like, would you guys be willing to do the session with your shoes off and your socks off, just to show people, like, look at our feet. We are not popping our joints.
So I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't want my foot fetished on the internet, so I don't know if I want to do that. So I'm just completely real with you guys.
Oh, really? Well, first of all, Satori, with respect, ain't nobody want to see your feet. We want to see these feet. Cody's feet, okay? Because he's the one making the noises. Those are the feet we want to see. But you knew that, which is why you decided to put the focus on you instead. Now, with that being said, this is still a really strange reason. If she's so worried about her foot being fetish, then why is this photo on her Instagram? And why is there footage of her doing the method with flip-flops on? Could it be? No. A lie?
Yeah, would you be willing to do it with us, or even off camera, or just to show one of us, not even all of us?
Maybe off camera.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'd have to see if the spirits would want to do it.
Yeah, they said this to Sam and Colby too. Oh, the spirits might not want to do it. Wow, the spirits are curiously invested in their choice of footwear. Every night when Cody is getting ready to go to bed, he's about to take his shoes off, and that's when the ghost of Abigail Arnold comes knocking along to tell him he'd better not. The spirits say the shoes stay on Cody, even in the shower. Hey, I don't make the rules.
Who makes the rules?
That's a good question. I don't think we know.
To close out the video, Dakota shares with us one final statement from Kotori. After a lot of thought and consideration, we have decided that our communication method should be studied further. Wow. We do not feel that this should be done or exploited and twisted within the world of YouTube, but an actual controlled study documented with credible neutral researchers and persons solely involved in finding the truth on the matter. We have been nothing but open and honest regarding what we do and any possible theories surrounding its cause, and will continue to do so moving forward. We will not be embarking on this journey to prove ourselves, as that has never been the point of what we do, but rather to further the paranormal field as well as our understanding of what lies beyond. More is to come in the future. I'll tell you what this is. This is their way of getting Dakota and Sam and Colby and all the other YouTubers off their back about doing the method without shoes on. This way they can say, hey, we're working on it. We're finding those neutral researchers to study this over and over again until people lose interest and stop asking. Because we're never going to see this study published. It's a stalling tactic. That's all it is. It's a vapor trail. They'll tease this study. They'll say, oh yeah, we're still doing it. We're looking for the right people. And various other excuses until finally it's 20 years later and no one cares anymore. We will never see the results of this study because they're faking it. So that was the Project Fear Conjuring House series. And if you saw the Sam and Colby series, then it probably went about how you expected. A lot of focus on Kotori, a lot of obvious mistakes by them, and the paranormal investigators just kind of roll with it. Now, I've been kind of building up to this with my repeating no reason to be skeptical bit, but my big takeaway from this series isn't that Kotori are sketchy. I already knew that, and likely so did you. No, my big takeaway from this is that, wow, I have no idea why Project Fear published this. I mean, it's so confusing. They start the series with Dakota saying, well, we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, to be fair. But then during the Kotori shenanigans, he and the Project Fear team are quizzing the ghosts on cigar brands, they're running second floor, first floor experiments, they're doing all these things that make it seem like they're collectively skeptical of what's going on. And there were so many moments where I was like, these guys ain't buying it.
Now I know this whole thing's crap.
But then we get to the interview, and all of a sudden, it's haters this, conspiracy theorists that.
Silence all the haters.
Silence
and all
at
that
least.
crap.
And you get the sense that, okay, well, I guess Project Fear believes them then. But then after the fact, you get this post from Dakota where he says, and I quote, "As you can see from our sit-down conversation with Cody and Satori, we are now very skeptical."
What?
Dakota phrased almost every question in that interview like if the online debunkers were in the room right then, he'd spit on them. I did not get the sense that he was skeptical at all. But then you have his sister Chelsea, and this may have been some kind of good cop, bad cop routine they had rehearsed, I'm not sure, but she was the one pushing back and actually defending the skeptic point of view.
There are so many questions that do come to mind, so I feel like asking questions is like a good thing.
Yeah.
Don't you think though, like if people could just disprove everything, like all, that whole list, if we had a list of things and you could just check them all off and people were like, yes, when we're dealing with something that's actually potentially like changing people's viewpoints on like what they've always believed in like faith, I feel like they deserve to at least like have that one thing, you know, like if you're gonna change your whole freaking faith on it, like just that one simple thing, it would be like after that you guys would literally have crossed like all the things that you guys could have possibly done, like you guys.
It's up to the spirits.
All these are great points, Chelsea, and it was a breath of fresh air to hear that stuff in the midst of being repeatedly called a conspiracy theorist for not believing Kotori. You even have Dakota at the beginning of the interview episode seeming to align himself with the internet skeptics.
As incredible as this was for us in the moment, we were left with more and more questions as the weeks went by. As expected, the internet had a ton of questions. Some of the same questions that we had.
So what's the deal here? What was Project Fear's goal in publishing these videos, and especially this interview? Was it to expose Kotori? Was it to silence the haters? Well, Dakota makes a revealing statement about just that.
We're not here to obviously prove or disprove. It's not our job, and it's not your job either. But I think there are some things we could do that would be like
silence all the haters.
Silence
and all
at
that
least
crap.
the big theories.
I found this one statement very interesting. We're not here to prove or disprove. That's not our job. On one hand, they're right. Formal experimentation and research is the job of a scientist, not an entertainer. But I take issue with the idea that they're completely absolved of responsibility. All this wishy-washy, oh, we had no reason to be skeptical when we first got there. But if you watch the interview, as you can see, we were actually very skeptical. But listen, Kotori, all these internet skeptics, they're just a bunch of haters. But to be fair, they did raise a lot of the same questions that we had. I believe it's just a performance for the audience. They're trying to strike a balance between not being too skeptical for all the believers that are watching because they don't want to alienate them, but also throwing some bones in there for the ones who are outraged. They're taking the safest possible position for the widest possible audience. Neutrality. They're letting you, the viewers, decide what to believe. Or are they? Letting the viewers decide isn't an uncommon position among paranormal channels. Sam and Colby have taken this position too. In fact, most of this response video they made about the Kotori controversy was explaining how they just wanted to share their experience, whether you believe it or not.
Our main goal whenever we make a video is just to share our experience with you guys.
But to be fair, their presentation of the experience clearly favored one interpretation.
We 100% wholeheartedly believe that this is true. True.
Popular paranormal clip channel Nuke's Top 5 is pretty notorious for saying it's up to the viewers to decide.
Well, as usual, you decide. You decide. As always, I leave that up to you to decide. Is it real? Or is it all just an elaborate hoax? You decide.
But look at the presentation here. Reverent, serious voiceover. Creepy music in the background. And there have even been instances where Nuke has added sound effects to the clips to make them scarier. like this one I talked about in a recent video. Here's the audio on the original TikTok clip.
Holy crap, dude, this trail going on forever.
Here's the audio on the Nuke's Top 5 version of that same clip.
Holy crap, dude, this trail going on forever.
Yeah, that's right. Nuke added that fake scream audio when he added the clip to his compilation video. It wasn't in the original TikTok clip. He can say it's up to you to decide all he wants, but the presentation he's giving the clips clearly favors a paranormal interpretation. Now look at Project Fear.
We're not here to obviously prove or disprove. It's not our job, and it's not your job either.
They present themselves as a neutral party here, but look at how they present the Conjuring House series.
I have like a hard time wrapping my mind around the whole thing.
Dude, this is super scary.
Dude! Go. Coming!
Sounded like someone was right there. Whoa.
The presentation is that this was a terrifying, thrilling trip, and that everything that transpired was real. I mean, hey, as a fellow YouTuber, I get it. Production value and presentation are very important parts of a successful YouTube video. And if you're making paranormal content on this platform, it makes sense to edit it like a horror movie. I think that stuff is fun. I like the editing. I like all the bwams and all the ears and all the sound effects that they use. It makes it more atmospheric. But you can get carried away with it. And if you start valuing production and presentation over the truth, then you're not really letting the viewers decide. At that point,
and they're hating,
you're influencing them.
We 100% wholeheartedly believe that this is true. True.
Hang on, before we close the final chapter on the Conjuring House saga on this channel, hopefully, this statement was just published a couple days ago by Jacqueline Nunez, the owner of the Conjuring House, on the Conjuring House Facebook page. It's so funny. It's basically just a rant about all the Gollum-esque debunkers out there. She is not happy with them, and she's litigious. Watch out. Okay, it's really long, but I'll just read you my favorite parts. Again, she just posted this while I was editing, if you can believe it. There have been some skeptics, disbelievers, and opportunists who have sought to monetize their content by producing debunking videos and telling outright lies to hurt Cody and Satori. These slanderous lies and the debunking videos have been produced by people who have never met Cody and Satori, let alone have the privilege of experiencing their method. So, okay, first of all, the purpose of the debunking videos isn't to hurt Cody and Satori, it's to help the people that are confused and deceived by them. And unfortunately, the reason they're necessary is because the paranormal investigators that have covered them have presented them in a very favorable light.
True.
Second, of course you want them to be seen in person, so you can make money off of them. Not happening. Among the lies is the assertion that Cody and Satori have made a lot of money from their method. Cody and Satori have never taken any money for their method, nor were they paid one dime from the Sam and Colby 2023 Conjuring House videos featuring their method in every episode. So, I don't know if this paragraph is about me or not, because I did go on a pretty long tangent in the last video about Cody and Satori's Patreon, their merch store, and the fact that they're drumming up business at their place of employment, the Conjuring House, who I believe did pay them a dime. But this point really struck me because this isn't the first time we've heard this idea that they don't make money from their method, and it's told with almost a desperation for you to believe them.
And we only do this for people who cross our paths naturally and don't do it for money or anything like that.
We're not taking money for this. Like, we can't take money from the people directly that we're helping with this method of communication.
And now Jacqueline Nunez is reinforcing that with very careful language, I noticed. Why is it so important that it be clarified that they don't make money from this? Well, because then it would be illegal. In Rhode Island, where the Conjuring House is located, any form of deception or dishonesty to gain a financial benefit is strictly illegal. So if you think about it that way, the fact that they're constantly, desperately clarifying that they don't take money directly for their method and that they only do it for those who cross their paths naturally.
And we only do this for people who cross our paths naturally.
I mean, the implications are pretty damning, aren't they? If it was real, then why would you be so worried about fraud? To the disbelievers and debunkers. You have passed your opinions and personal narratives off as fact. This includes Mythos Paranormal and Bad to the Bone Paranormal, among others. I'm others. There have been threats made, cyberbullying captured, and proof of your lies collected by many who have witnessed your actions. You are prudent to take note that your slanderous claims and defaming lies are illegal. So just to clarify something, in order for something to be considered slander, it has to be false. It has to be not true. So good luck having Kotori prove that they can talk to ghosts in a court of law. They'll have to do it without their shoes on. And as we all know, the ghosts have a phobia of bare feet. So who knows if they'll even allow that.
We'd have to see if the spirits would want to do it.
Mostly, I am addressing you to tell you that the Conjuring House doesn't care about you. You are not our market, and you represent less than 10% of people that have engaged with us. Oh yeah, we can tell you don't care about us because you wrote an angry 6-paragraph letter all about people who don't believe Cody and Satori. Yeah, you can really tell how much you don't care from this. You are not our market. I'm surprised she actually wrote that. It just goes to show that this is all a business venture to her, and she has to protect her cash cow. She ends by telling paranormal enthusiasts to not ever allow anyone to get you to doubt or disbelieve the spiritual or paranormal experiences that have impacted your lives and or belief systems. Only you know the experiences that you have had. You are entitled to your belief systems, so own and embrace them. Now, obviously, she has a business agenda for dispensing this so-called advice because she makes money from people's paranormal experiences. But honestly, the way that Jacqueline frames skeptical mindsets here is all too familiar. At the beginning of this video, I said I wanted to examine why these paranormal channels claim they simply want to let the audience decide. And we've covered some of the reasons already. Like I said earlier, as video creators, they want to emphasize production and presentation. They want the videos to be exciting, and going along with paranormal explanations for everything that happens is the best way to keep things exciting. So that's the default way they present things. But reading this statement from the Conjuring House made me realize the reason why so many paranormal channels take the believer-leaning centrist route that I talked about earlier. It's so they distance themselves from the skeptic community. Skepticism is contagious, after all. Careful, you might catch it. The reality is that skeptics are frowned upon in the paranormal community. If you're a skeptic, you're seen as negative. You're seen as argumentative. You're seen as a fun ruiner.
Everybody tries to make it look fake. Fuckers.
After all, some people just watch these videos for entertainment, and they don't want some wet blanket on their screen shattering the illusion for them. This negative mentality towards skeptics dates way back. In the Bible, for example, there's an account of the Apostle Thomas, who initially didn't believe in the resurrected Jesus until he examined the evidence for himself. Jesus reacted to this by basically saying, "Yeah, you believe me now after you saw the evidence, Thomas, but you know who's really great are all those people who believed me first without seeing the evidence." Doubting Thomas has long been a derogatory term for skeptics in the Christian church, and the same attitude extends into the paranormal field, since it also deals with a lot of faith-based concepts and ideas. It's one reason the paranormal field isn't taken seriously by scientists, because it generally values experience over evidence. So if you're a skeptic or a doubting Thomas in the paranormal field, you're considered a traitor to those experiences. Jacqueline even dedicates a paragraph of her rant to characterizing skepticism as a betrayal of the paranormal community, stating, "Recognize that when you attack or refuse to support other members in our community, that you are also attacking yourselves and the evidence that you have captured in your investigations. It hurts all of us." I believe this is very manipulative language here, but unfortunately, I think it also accurately describes how many paranormal investigators feel about skepticism and debunking. So I want to close out this video by advocating for the opposite of what Jacqueline Nunez is saying in this rant. You should not be complacent about your worldview. You should always be considering the possibility that you are wrong. Healthy skepticism is a beneficial mindset to have, and like I keep saying, moving forward, it's going to become more and more necessary. With all the AI generated art out there and deepfakes and everything else, it's going to become harder and harder to tell what's real and what's not. So you may as well start practicing now. Because if you take Jacqueline's advice here and you don't allow yourself to doubt or disbelieve your own perception, then you're going to be an easy mark for people who want to deceive or manipulate you. So continue to question people's motives. Value evidence over experience. And think critically.